I want you to picture something that is, well, it's almost certainly sitting in your kitchen right now. Maybe it's
Mhm.
tucked away in the back of a cabinet, or maybe you have a bush of it growing in the garden that you mostly just, ignore. You grab a sprig when you're roasting potatoes, you smell that piney, woody scent, and you throw it in the pan.
The humble rosemary.
Exactly. To 99% of us, it's a garnish, a flavor booster. Maybe if you're feeling old school, it's a folk remedy your grandmother talked about. But after reading through the stack of research you sent over, I have to admit, I feel a little guilty, like I've been underestimating a genius.
You're not alone. I mean, if you're just seeing a garnish, you're missing one of the most sophisticated pharmacological tools in nature.
Hmm.
We're witnessing a complete renaissance in how science views this plant. It's actually been quite dramatic in the botany world. The scientific community recently revoked its old name.
Oh, I saw that. It used to be Rosmarinus officinalis.
Right. And as of recently, it is officially Salvia rosmarinus. They taxonomically reclassified it and moved it into the sage family.
That feels like a promotion, like it got called up to the major leagues.
In a way, it is. But the name change is really just paperwork. The real story, and the reason we're doing this deep dive, is the why. We need to unpack a concept called the neurogastroinflammatory axis.
Neurogastroinflammatory axis. Okay, that sounds like a very expensive medical condition, but I gather it's actually the roadmap for how this plant functions.
It is the roadmap. See, modern pharmaceuticals, they usually follow a very specific philosophy. One drug, one target.
A sniper rifle approach.
Exactly.
That-
Very precise, but very narrow. Rosemary, on the other hand, is what we call a polypharmacological agent.
Polypharmacological, meaning it's multitasking.
It's a master key. It doesn't just do one thing. It simultaneously targets the brain, the gut, and systemic inflammation, all at the same time.
So instead of a sniper rifle taking out one bad guy, it's more like a coordinated security team sweeping the entire building.
That is a perfect analogy. And the goal of this deep dive is to meet that security team. We are going to deconstruct the chemical guardians inside this plant and explain how they physically alter your biology.
Okay, let's meet the squad. Because I'm assuming we aren't just talking about one magic molecule here. A plant is. It's messy, right? It's a complex matrix of stuff.
It is a matrix, but we can divide the active compounds into three specific teams. Team 1 is what I call the membrane guards. These are compounds called lipophilic diterpenes.
Okay, let's pause on lipophilic. That just means fat-loving.
Correct, and that is crucial. Your cell membranes are made of fat. Even more importantly, the barrier that protects your brain, the blood-brain barrier, or BBB, is lipid-rich. It's a fat fortress.
And usually that fortress keeps things out.
It does. But because these specific rosemary compounds love fat, they have a VIP pass, they can merge with cell membranes to protect them, and, crucially, they can slip right through the blood-brain barrier to work directly on your neurons.
So who are the heavy hitters on this fat-loving team?
The captain is carnosic acid, usually working with its partner, carnosol. These the ones getting into the brain.
Got it. So team 1 takes care of the fat. Who's on team 2?
Team 2 is the cytosolic defenders.
Yeah.
These are hydrophilic phenolics. Hydrophilic means water-loving.
So these guys patrol the blood and the watery insides of the cell.
Exactly. The star here is rosmarinic acid. It patrols the blood plasma and the cytosol, where the fat-soluble guards can't go.
It's like a strategic pincer movement. You're covered in the fat and you're covered in the water.
That's what we call amphiphilic antioxidant coverage. Total
Okay.
protection.
Hmm.
But then there's Team 3, the ones you know best, even if you don't know their names, the volatile messengers.
The smell.
The smell. These are monoterpenes, specifically 1,4,8-cineol A, also called eucalyptal and alpha pine. Volatile just means they evaporate easily. When you inhale them, they enter your system through the capillaries in your lungs,
And they go straight to the brain.
straight to the brain.
That is wild. So literally just breathing in the scent of roasting rosemary is a form of drug delivery.
It is. And it has measurable effects on cognition, which brings us to our first pillar, the cognitive engine.
Right. This is the part I think most people are interested in. We hear brain food all the time, and it's usually so vague. But the research here gets very specific about how rosemary helps.
It goes much deeper than just alertness, like caffeine. To understand it, we have to look at the cholinergic hypothesis. This is the leading theory on how memory fails in conditions like Alzheimer's.
Okay, walk me through that.
Well, think of your memory like a bucket full of a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine or ADK. As long as that bucket is full, your memory works.
But in cognitive decline, the bucket has a leak.
It effectively has a leak, yes. But it's really a hungry enzyme called acetylcholinesterase, or ACE, that's eating the acetylcholine too fast. It's like Pac-Man gobbling up your memory chemicals.
So we need something to stop the Pac-Man.
Precisely. And this is where rosemary steps in. Carnosic acid and that volatile 1,8-thionyl act as dual inhibitors. They basically handcuff the Pac-Man.
So by stopping the enzyme, the bucket stays full longer.
Yes. It increases the dwell time of the neurotransmitter. And what's fascinating is that this is the exact same mechanism used by major Alzheimer's drugs like Donepezil.
That is significant. But does it translate to real-world performance? I read something in the notes about perspective memory, which I hadn't heard of.
I love this finding because it's so practical. Perspective memory is the ability to remember to do things in the future.
Like remembering to take your meds at 2 p.m.
Or remembering to mail a letter on your way home. It's the to-do list part of your brain. Studies show that 148-cinyl A, again, the thing you smell, enhances perspective memory just by inhalation.
Wow, so I don't even have to eat it. But what about the hardware? Can rosemary actually change the brain's structure?
Right. Boosting a signal in a broken radio doesn't help. This is where we get into modifying disease pathology. In conditions like Alzheimer's, you have these toxic proteins called amyloid beta that clump together into plaques. Gunk in the engine.
And those plaques kill the neurons.
They do. But rosmarinic acid, our water-loving defender, acts as a beta sheet breaker. It physically prevents these amyloid peptides from clumping up.
It stops the gunk from forming.
It does. And carnosic acid does something even more proactive. It activates an enzyme called TACE.
TACE, what does it do?
Think of it like a traffic cop for proteins. It forces them down a good pathway so they're processed safely instead of being cut into those toxic plaque-forming pieces.
So it's directing traffic away from the cliff.
And it creates new roads. Rosemary increases something called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor.
I've heard this called miracle grow for the brain.
It's an accurate shorthand. It helps reverse hippocampal atrophy caused by stress.
Wait, hippocampal atrophy, that's literal shrinking of the brain.
Yes. Chronic stress literally shrinks your hippocampus. BDNF helps grow it back. And finally, it activates a process called autophagy.
Which sounds terrifying. It means self-eating.
It sounds bad, but it's essential. It's the cleanup crew. The cell taking out its own trash, recycling defective parts so it can run efficiently.
Okay, that's an incredibly comprehensive picture for one herb. But you said this is an axis, neuro-gastro-inflammatory. Let's talk about the inflammatory part.
Right. It's the common denominator for almost every chronic disease. And here, rosemary acts as a systemic fire extinguisher. But how it does it is brilliant. It's not just dumping water on the fire.
It's teaching the building to install its own sprinkler system.
That's it, exactly. Carnosic acid acts as a prodrug. It doesn't just neutralize free radicals one by one. That's inefficient. Instead, it triggers the NRF2 pathway.
NRF2, I see that everywhere in longevity research. It's a transcription factor.
Yes. Think of NRF2 as the general of your internal antioxidant army. Normally, the general is held hostage by a protein called KEAP1. Carnosic acid comes in and sets the general free.
And once the general is free,
NRF2 travels to your DNA and flips the switch on the body's own antioxidant genes.
So rosemary isn't doing the work. It's hitting the emergency defense button inside our own cells.
Exactly. It provides catalytic protection. One molecule triggers thousands of your own enzymes. At the same time, it puts a brake on inflammation via another pathway. NFD.
The master switch for inflammation.
Right. When NFP goes into the nucleus, it triggers a cytokine storm. Carnosol and alpha-pine physically stop NSB from getting in there.
So NF2 turns on the good guys, and NFP is blocked from turning on the bad guys.
Precisely. And this connects back to the brain, specifically to the microglia.
The brain's immune cells.
Yes, and they can be good or bad. In an M1 state, they're destructive. In an M2 state, they repair and heal. Rosemary keeps them in that good reparative M2 state.
Okay, that's huge. So brain inflammation, now the gut. It seems foundational to this whole system.
It is foundational.
Yeah.
You cannot have a healthy brain without a healthy gut. They are biologically wired together.
We hear a lot about leaky gut. Is that what we're talking about here?
It is. The lining of your gut is like a brick wall. The mortar holding the bricks together are tight junction proteins. When that mortar crumbles, you have a leak.
And what gets out?
Bacterial toxins, specifically something called LPS. It leaks into the bloodstream, and from there it goes everywhere.
Including the brain.
Exactly. A leaky gut leads to a leaky brain. This is where rosmarinic acid shines again. It helps restore those tight junction proteins. It reseals the wall.
So it's a physical repair,
Huh.
but it also changes the ecosystem, the microbiome, right?
Yes, it corrects dysbiosis or imbalance, and it specifically boosts a group of bacteria called Lactobacillus.
That is a mouthful. Why do we want them?
because they are little factories that produce butyrate. Butyrate is a short-chain fatty acid that is practically magical. It travels from the gut, crosses the blood-brain barrier, and directly supports those microglia we just talked about.
Wait, let me trace this. You eat rosemary. Rosemary feeds these bacteria. The bacteria make butyrate, and the butyrate travels to your brain and tells your immune cells to calm down.
That is the biological wire connecting your digestion to your cognition. It's a complete loop.
Yeah.
And we haven't even mentioned the liver, where it boosts glutathione, the master antioxidant.
It really is a master key. But here's the question I know everyone is asking. If this stuff is so incredible, should I just start eating spoonfuls of it?
No, absolutely not. And this is the most critical part of this discussion, the inverted U curve.
The inverted U.
It's the concept of hormesis. More is not always better. Sometimes more is the opposite of better. There was a great study on elderly adults. A culinary dose, about 750 milligrams of dried powder, significantly boosted memory speed.
750 milligrams. That's about a teaspoon.
Roughly, yes.
Yeah.
A normal amount. But here's the kicker.
Yeah.
At 6,000 milligram, a megadose cognitive performance was impaired.
It actually got worse.
Significantly worse. High doses can be sedating. It slows you down. The megadose culture does not apply here.
That is really important. We're looking for the Goldilocks zone.
Exactly. And beyond performance, there are real safety issues. People who shouldn't be taking medicinal doses at all.
Who needs to be careful?
First, pregnancy. Culinary amounts are fine, but medicinal doses can have uterine-stimulating effects. Second, and this is a dangerous one, lithium users.
Why lithium?
Rosemary is a diuretic. It changes how the kidneys handle water and sodium, which reduces the kidney's ability to clear lithium. It can build up to toxic levels.
That is a very serious warning. What about blood thinners?
Same logic. It has mild antiplatelet effects. If you mix it with warfarin or aspirin, you increase bleeding risk. And for diabetics, combining it with metformin could drop your blood sugar too low.
So it's powerful medicine. It needs to be treated like medicine.
Precisely. And a big warning about essential oils.
Sure.
Ingesting high amounts can be acutely toxic. It can cause seizures. You should never, ever drink essential oils.
So for the average person, small, consistent amounts, using the fresh herb in cooking or maybe a tea, that seems to be the sweet spot.
Exactly. It's about integration, not saturation. You want to gently nudge these systems, not hammer them.
So let's zoom out. We've gone from a garnish to a neuroprotecting, gut-sealing, inflammation-fighting powerhouse. It's almost overwhelming.
It brings us back to synergy. The magic is in the combination. You need the lipophilic guard, carnosic acid, and the hydrophilic defender, rosmarinic acid, working together.
The team works better than the individual.
Always. It's what we call a pleiotropic agent.
Pleiotropic.
It means producing more than one effect. Rosemary restores homeostasis across the whole system. It's not a magic bullet. It's a foundation that supports the entire architecture of health.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If a common kitchen herb can train our DNA via NRF2 and rewire our gut bacteria to talk to our brain.
It raises a provocative question. This is network pharmacology. If we decoded this one common weed and found this level of sophistication, what other plants in our garden are actually sophisticated pharmacological tools, just waiting for us to read the instruction manual?
I don't think I'll ever look at my spice rack the same way again. It looks a lot more like a medicine cabinet now.
Thanks for helping us decode this.
Stay curious.